This is an All Ears English podcast, episode 9, Meeting Monday. Is it dangerous to fall in love abroad? Welcome to the All Ears English podcast, where you'll finally get real native English conversation. Now here are your hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Gabby Wallace, the language angel, coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts, USA. In this episode, we're going to share our top 3 favorite websites for making native English speaker friends, real friends at home in your country where you live.
Okay, so Gabby, good to see you again. How's it going?
Good to see you too, Lindsay.
All right, so today we're talking about the experience of going abroad and immersing ourselves in a new culture, and in what way could we, what is that like? Like, what are your experiences being abroad?
Yeah, well, I've fallen in love with the culture when I go abroad. Like, I've been to several different countries, Japan, Brazil, the Dominican Republic, and I think when we're talking about falling in love, we're talking about really learning about the culture, living in it, finding things that you enjoy, things that become part of you, things that you want to go back to again and again. So it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing to say fall in love. Like, we're not talking about, romance or anything like that, but really just the appreciation of a place and a culture.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to think. I had so many specific examples, but I would say, like in Brazil, taking dance classes, I just felt amazing, learning new movements and interacting with locals through the dance classes was really great, because it's not something that I had to be super fluent in Portuguese to interact with people in a dance class. It's more movement based, and there were just a lot of locals in the classes, and it was a great way to get immersed going to dance classes every day.
Yeah, that sounds like a really cool thing. Yeah, that feeling of immersion it's a special experience that not everyone gets the chance to have in their life. And so the more that you can immerse yourself into the culture and meet the local people, the more of a rich experience you're going to have.
What was one way that you kind of fell in love with a culture?
Yeah, again, so many experiences and so many different things that I could talk about forever. And I feel like the memories are starting to fade also, which is a little bit sad. But I don't know, living in Buenos Aires, I lived there for 3 months, and I met lots of local people, got invited to a lot of family barbecues.
Nice.
And that was great, just enjoying the meat and the wine and the bread, and just kind of seeing how they enjoyed their Sundays, how the stores close on Sundays completely. So nobody is off doing errands or working. They're spending the time with family. And that to me was really cool.
Very nice. I think what you said about, the memories, keeping those memories alive, you can do that by journaling or blogging when you are living in a new place, or just all the time. Why limit it to when you go abroad? But for me, journaling really helps not only to develop my foreign languages, but to remember those experiences. So, bring a paper or electronic journal with you.
Yeah, or also when you get back to your home country, trying to connect with people from that country that you are in.
Oh, yeah.
I like to go to the Boston Spanish meetup.
Yeah.
Where I do meet people from Argentina or from wherever.
And Meetup, this is literally a website, www.meetup, so MEETUP.com, and it's really popular all over the US. I'm not sure about other countries, but maybe it's starting.
I feel like it's starting to spread across the world. I think it is.
Yeah. You can find, people, like conversation partners, activity partners through Meetup or through a lot of different websites nowadays.
Yeah, I was also thinking about couchsurfing.com.
Definitely.
Could be another great. The other day I met a student in New York who's doing a lot with couchsurfing. She's going out, she's attending the meetup through couchsurfing.com, and she's meeting a lot of people and practicing her English a lot. And I know that she is going to be successful.
It's not just about finding a place to stay with couchsurfing. Right. You can meet someone for coffee and just get to know someone from another culture, another language. So it's a really good resource for just meeting people who love to travel and to connect with people from other cultures.
Yeah, that's important.
Another website and group that I enjoy is Internations. It's really popular in the US, but I first started going in Japan when I lived over there. And I know there's chapters all over the world. They have over 1 million members now. And again, it's just a place where you can meet other people who like to interact with international friends.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I've been meaning to get to one of those here in Boston, but there's a big community here.
It's a big group. It's a big group. And it's different everywhere you go. Some chapters are free, some you have to pay for. So just check it out and see what it's like in your area.
Yeah, so falling in love abroad, immersing yourself, meeting people, and making memories that, you'll have forever.
Yeah, it'll change you forever when you study abroad, and you'll want to connect with those kinds of people again.
Absolutely. Okay. Okay, so I have a question for you guys today. Are you wondering how to maximize your time and learn English as quickly as possible and as easily as possible? I know everyone's busy these days, so you might be wondering this. So here's one way. We have a free ebook, and we have the top 10 ways to learn English with a podcast. So we'd like to offer that to you as a gift for being a listener of the All Ears English podcast, and you can get that by going to www.allearsenglish.com/free.
Thanks for listening to the All Ears English podcast. We're here to help you learn English, and you can help us by leaving a 5-star review on iTunes. See you next time.
This is an All Ears English podcast, episode 10, Teaching Tuesday. Welcome to the All Ears English podcast, where you'll finally get real native English conversation. Now here are your hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Gabby Wallace, the language angel, coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts, USA. In today's episode, you'll learn how to express that you want to do something, and we'll give you a couple of phrases to express yourself in a more native-like way.
Okay, so in our last episode, in episode 9, Meeting Monday, we talked about the dangers of falling in love abroad, and we want to pull out some phrases, some expressions that can help you communicate better with native speakers. So we want to start with the expression
tongue-in-cheek.
Good.
Our title for episode 9, Is It Dangerous to Fall in Love Abroad, is a tongue-in-cheek title because we're not talking about romance. We're talking about getting to know a culture and really appreciating or falling in love with a place and the culture, not one person. So it's not a serious title, it's a humorous title. So something that's tongue-in-cheek is funny or humorous, not serious.
Yeah, and then we also use the term rich experience. So we said that going abroad is a rich experience. And when something's a rich experience, it's intense. We get a lot out of it.
Yeah, you learn a lot. You might have many different experiences within that rich experience. Like studying abroad is a rich experience, or living abroad is a rich experience. And within that time period, you're going to have a lot of new experiences, activities, and so on. So just very diverse and intense experience would be a rich experience.
Right. And we can also use this to talk about, for example, a piece of chocolate cake that's just very intense and is made with lots of extreme flavors.
Right. Very sweet. It could be very fattening, but it
yummy.
tastes good. Yummy. Yeah.
Rich. It's a rich piece of cake.
Yep.
Good.
Great. Our next phrase is I've been meaning to do something. When we use the verb to mean in this way, it means that I've been wanting to do something. I've been intending or planning or thinking about doing something. So I've been meaning to do something. And you want to use it in that tense too, like, you know, in the, what is it?
The present perfect.
Present
Yeah.
perfect, exactly. So I've been meaning to travel to Turkey, for example. What's something you've been meaning to do?
Yeah, like you've been meaning to return someone's phone call.
Yeah, it could be something small or something like more longer term. Usually maybe like on the day-to-day basis. Like I've been meaning to travel to Turkey is kind of a long-term, bigger idea.
Yeah, you could say that too. Or you've been meaning to email someone, or just you've been wanting to do something.
Exactly, but you just haven't done it yet, but you will soon.
Yeah, perfect. And then another one was to get to something. For example, I said, you know, I've been meaning to get to one of those meetups, right? So this actually means to actually go to one of those meetups, right?
Yeah.
Can you think of another example of where we would use this?
To get to one of those meetups, just to finally arrive. It's a little different than to go. I mean, the feeling, well, the meaning is very similar, but the feeling is different. It's like you've been meaning to go, so finally you've made the time to get to
that's right. It kind of has this feeling of like achieving the ability to go. It has that sense of like achievement to it, right? Or like crossing a task off of your list.
Yeah. Whereas going is not special necessarily.
Yeah, definitely.
To get to somewhere is the achievement. You've reached your destination. So before we end, let's just give you a second to repeat after us. The first phrase was tongue in cheek. And Lindsay, what was our second one?
The next one was a rich experience.
Next, I've been meaning to do something.
And the next one was to get to a meetup.
Awesome. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.
Okay, so I have a question for you guys today. Are you wondering how to maximize your time and learn English as quickly as possible and as easily as possible? I know everyone's busy these days, so you might be wondering this. So here's one way. We have a free ebook, and we have the top 10 ways to learn English with a podcast. So we'd like to offer that to you as a gift for being a listener of the All Ears English podcast, and you can get that by going to www.allearsenglish.com/free.
Thanks for listening to the All Ears English podcast. We're here to help you learn English, and you can help us by leaving a 5-star review on iTunes. See you next time.
This is an All Ears English podcast, episode 11, Wisdom Wednesday. Welcome to the All Ears English podcast, where you'll finally get real native English conversation. Now here are your hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Gabby Wallace, the language angel, coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts, USA.
Okay, so in today's episode, you'll learn how to massively increase your vocabulary without spending much time outside of what you're doing in your daily life. So listen up.
In today's episode, we're going to share a tip about how to improve your English. So this is something, Lindsay, you did when you lived in Japan to help you learn Japanese. Tell us what you did.
Yeah, I did. So when I was learning Japanese, I mean, we have the different alphabets. We have the hiragana, the katakana, the kanji, and I also needed to learn the word, right, in itself, too. So you have a lot to learn. So, but this could work for other languages if you're, So what I did was I had my little apartment in Tokyo, and I just took little cards and put the words in hiragana hiragana and in romaji, right, spelled out in the English letters.
Yeah.
Just all over, like in the bathroom or, you know, on my stove, the rice cooker. So
you would label items?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And it helped a lot. So that when it came to taking the exam, I knew the words better than I would have if I had just limited it to opening a book.
Absolutely. Because you see those cards every time you look up. It's not necessary to open a book to see them. It's just you're constantly reminded everywhere you look, there's vocabulary.
Yeah, so they really become a part of your life. So we definitely recommend doing that. I mean, why not? Even if you're sharing an apartment with friends or roommates, you can put them in your room, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And I think you don't have to stop at labeling because, that would help, I think, beginners or intermediate learners. But at the more advanced level, I mean, why not write up quotes that you like or phrases that you want to use and just put them somewhere where they're easily visible.
I like that.
Because repetition is key to learning.
Yeah, I remember in Japan it was easy to find those little keychain cards. Do you remember those?
Yes, so the cards that have a hole through them and then they're on a little circular ring.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, you can make your own. I mean, if you put several cards together and punch a hole in them and then connect them with a key ring or some other, whatever, it could be a paper clip depending on how many you have. But flashcards. So you're talking about having a stack of flashcards that you get out and you flip through.
Yeah, so for example, if you're on the train and you have your keys in your bag and those cards are right on your keychain, that would be another way to use this method.
And that's great for, people who are kind of, you like to use paper, but there's also, you could use your smartphone, you could write vocabulary in your phone electronically. It's also great if you're out and about, perhaps you live in the US and you're immersed in English and you see or you hear a new word to just jot it down really quickly and make that flashcard as soon as you notice a word that you want to learn.
Absolutely. Good stuff. So go for the flashcard method and let us know how it works.
Repetition. All right. Thanks, Lindsay.
Okay. Okay, so I have a question for you guys today. Are you wondering how to maximize your time and learn English as quickly as possible and as easily as possible? I know everyone's busy these days, so you might be wondering this. So here's one way. We have a free ebook, and we have the top 10 ways to learn English with a podcast. So we'd like to offer that to you as a gift for being a listener of the All Ears English podcast, and you can get that by going to www.allearsenglish.com/free.
Thanks for listening to the All Ears English podcast. We're here to help you learn English, and you can help us by leaving a 5-star review on iTunes. See you next time.
This is an All Ears English podcast, episode 12, Deep Thoughts Thursday. Welcome to the All Ears English podcast, where you'll finally get real native English conversation. Now here are your hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Gabby Wallace, the language angel, coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts, USA.
In today's episode, you'll learn what Albert Einstein and Michael Jordan can teach you and us about learning English. Okay, guys, so we want to share a great quote with you that we think is pretty inspiring, and we hope it's inspiring for you as well. So here's the quote. It's by Albert Einstein, who has some interesting quotes. Anyone who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new.
I love that quote.
Yeah.
It means it's necessary to make mistakes in order to achieve something, right?
Definitely.
There's a similar quote from, I think, Michael Jordan, something about how he's made, thousands and thousands of missed shots.
Yeah.
So maybe he's made hundreds of baskets, but how many has he actually missed? Thousands. So keep that in mind when you're studying English, and aim to make a mistake. I mean, I think, Lindsay, you said something the other day. Today is a perfect day, a wonderful day to make a mistake.
It's the perfect day for a mistake. and I have an interesting link to a video that maybe we'll share in the notes on the blog to watch a video about the importance of making mistakes. And it just reminds me, just to give an example, when I was learning to ski as a kid, my dad would always tell me, once in a while I'd say, oh, I'm so happy I didn't fall today. And my dad would say, what? You didn't fall? That's terrible. Because if you're not falling, then you're not learning, you're not getting better.
You're not pushing yourself to try something new, harder.
Yeah, so
that's great. Yeah, I think it's a great goal to get out there and make a mistake, and good things can happen from that. So Lindsay mentioned that we'll share a video on the blog, so you can find our blog or our website at www.allearsenglish.com.
Okay, so good luck, guys. Okay, so I have a question for you guys today. Are you wondering how to maximize your time and learn English as quickly as possible and as easily as possible? I know everyone's busy these days, so you might be wondering this. So here's one way. We have a free ebook, and we have the top 10 ways to learn English with a podcast. So we'd like to offer that to you as a gift for being a listener of the All Ears English podcast, and you can get that by going to www.allearsenglish.com/free.
Thanks for listening to the All Ears English podcast. We're here to help you learn English, and you can help us by leaving a 5-star review on iTunes. See you next time.
This is an All Ears English podcast, episode 13, Meeting Monday, and today our topic is dating in American culture.
Welcome to the All Ears English podcast, where you'll finally get real native English conversation. Now here are your hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Gabby Wallace, the language angel, coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts, USA.
In today's episode, you'll learn how to date Americans or how to date American style with confidence.
All right, in today's episode, we're talking about dating in American culture, and we've gotten some great questions about why do Americans do so-and-so. So in this episode, we want to address some of those questions and just talk about how dating in English and in American culture might be different from your home culture. So hopefully you'll learn some new facts, maybe some of the questions you're afraid to ask we will talk about today, and I hope it'll be exciting and informative.
Yeah.
So what's one thing that you think is different about dating in the US?
Yeah, so I think one thing that's probably most definitely different is online dating, the emergence of online dating, right? So
it's huge.
Yeah, it's huge, and it seems like for me, it seems like more of an urban thing.
Right.
What do you think about that?
I think it's more accepted in big cities because, there's more people doing it. Maybe big cities tend to be more progressive.
People are busier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think when you work long hours, it's more difficult to meet someone in person.
For sure.
And also in the city, people are just kind of less open. They're more closed. Like if you're walking, more guarded. You're walking down the street, people don't say, "Good morning, how are you?" like they do in a small town. And it's actually kind of frowned upon sometimes to just be like really open because you don't know. I mean, cities are more dangerous.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's why people look to online dating, because of time and just the culture of a city.
And also, I would also say, to add to that, the fact that there are so many people, right? So in New York City, there are 8 million people. So you need to actually, it sounds horrible, you need to start to filter out certain people. So with online dating, you're able to specify what you're looking for.
And target what you're looking for.
Filter out and target. So it kind of works. And so the view of online dating from an urban perspective is, in my opinion, totally accepted. But if I were to talk to my friends who maybe got married earlier or live outside of the city, I think it's a little bit different.
Right. And I think several years ago, people didn't want to say that they met online.
Yeah.
It was taboo.
Right.
But I think now it's not really taboo for a lot of people. That's how they meet. And I know several people have gotten married and, had like great relationships from meeting someone online.
Why not? I mean, it's hard to meet the person that you're really looking for, so if you can give yourself another opportunity, why not?
Yeah. So, and making a profile is a great way to practice your English and exchanging messages with people. Again, fun way to practice English. Some really popular sites right now are OkCupid. Mm-hmm. I think that one it's popular because it's free and it's easy to use. There's other ones too, like eHarmony, Match.com.
There's this site called How About We, where you can actually say what you want to do. So it's more about action, getting out and doing something with the person rather than talking about who you are and what you like.
Oh, very cool.
You invite them out. Let's go walk across the bridge. Yeah, let's go for a hike and have dinner.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds like fun. I hadn't heard about that one.
Mm-hmm.
I know... for every different kind of demographic, like, if you are over 55, right, there's seniors meet. So, there's different kinds of, like, there's religious dating sites as well. Like, if you are Christian, Muslim, whatever, if you feel strongly about a religion, you can find a site.
Definitely.
I don't know specific names, but, like, the most popular just for the general public, I think, are, like, OkCupid, eHarmony,
Match.com. Yeah, for sure. Interesting. And then as far as like the way that American people date, generally what I've seen is that people tend to, go out with a few different people 3 or 4 times, and then you might tend to, make a decision as to how serious you are about one person.
One of the biggest differences between dating in the U.S. and dating in other cultures is dating several people at once.
Yeah.
The only limit is your time, right? You could be dating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know how much time you have, but it's very different. Whereas in other cultures, I get the impression that you date one person at a time.
Right.
But in the U.S., as you said, we go on maybe 3 to 5 dates.
Right.
With different people at the same time.
Yeah. And it seems like just the culture, the action of like going on a date seems like something that might be unique to American culture. Maybe not just American culture, but I think a lot of other cultures might not do it, right?
Right.
Let's go to a movie and have dinner. Let's go have coffee as a first date, right?
Right. Something short and like not a big commitment at first. Like short, maybe you get a drink or something short, like an hour or something.
Easy. Yeah.
And then maybe your second date would be a little longer, like dinner or movie or something like that. But generally after, what would you say, like 4 dates, you would either continue with that person or kind of nicely let them go.
Yeah, right? I love the expression "let them go." Yeah, just you would probably think about becoming sort of exclusive with that person, maybe. Our parents' generation used to call it going steady, but we don't really use that term anymore. Well,
and if you keep going out on dates with someone that you're not interested in, we call that stringing along or leading on.
Leading them on, yeah. That's a good one.
And so I think in other cultures, there's also this official moment where, maybe one person would ask, do you want to be my girlfriend? Or do you want to be my boyfriend? Or perhaps, it's like an official kind of moment. Whereas in the U.S., I don't feel like that happens as often. It could, but it's sometimes implied. But it's a little complicated. It's a little messy. What do you think about
maybe
that?
It's just a personal thing. Like, maybe you would have a talk like, okay, what's the status of our relationship?
Are you exclusive?
Yeah, like, what's happening with us? Like, where is the relationship going? Mm-hmm. But you might not phrase it in that way. Like, do you want to be my boyfriend? Or you might not say it exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But being exclusive is a popular term, and that just means that you're not seeing other people. And so you're basically boyfriend, girlfriend, you're in a relationship, but it's not, you may not ask, do you want to be my whatever.
Right.
So
yeah, interesting. So we have a lot of strange, traditions and customs in terms of the way we date.
Yeah.
Anything else we wanted to mention to that end?
Oh gosh. Well, one thing is like when you go out on a date, the idea of who is supposed to get the check or get the bill. I think that it's changed in recent years. I mean, usually, like a man and a woman going out, the man would always pick up the tab, pick up the check or the bill. Yeah. And I think now the idea of going Dutch is really popular.
Good one. Yeah. So what does that mean?
Each person pays for half and half, or you pay for what you drank or ate.
Right. Yeah. Usually I like to go half and half rather than figuring out what everyone got because it feels so, I don't know, stiff.
Yeah.
To go through, you ordered this and I really... But yeah, going Dutch is just splitting the bill.
Right. And now, I mean, there's, women obviously are working, we're independent, we can pay for our own, our parts of the dinner or whatever. So I think it's just kind of the idea of being equal. So that's, and not having any responsibility, to pay for the other person or to feel indebted or anything.
Which is good.
Yeah.
You pay your own way. You don't feel like you necessarily have to go out on another date with the person.
Right.
If you didn't like them. So.
But it depends. I mean, people do things differently, but that's just kind of a general trend, I think.
Yeah. Interesting stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Great. Thanks for having a chat.
Yeah. Thanks, Lindsay. See ya. You listeners know that we've created this awesome podcast for you, but that's not all. We've also created an ebook to help you get the most out of listening to every episode. And the best thing is it's free. It's free for you guys, our listeners. So to get the ebook for free, just come visit us at www.allearsenglish.com/free.
Thanks for listening to the All Ears English podcast. We're here to help you learn English, and you can help us by leaving a 5-star review on iTunes. See you next time.
This is an All Ears English podcast, episode 14, Teaching Tuesday.
Welcome to the All Ears English podcast, where you'll finally get real native English conversation. Now here are your hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Gabby Wallace, the language angel, coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts, USA.
In this episode, you'll learn 4 phrases that you need to communicate about dating in American English.
Let's get right into it. Our first phrase is to go Dutch.
Yes, and so what does this mean?
What is to go Dutch?
What is that?
Well, when you go out on a date where you are eating something, drinking something, maybe buying tickets, or anything that costs money, you might want to go Dutch.
Right.
So this could also be for a group activity with friends. You can also go Dutch. Well, what does it mean? When it's time to pay?
So what we do is we just split the bill. That's the way I think of go Dutch.
Yeah.
And so, let's say the bill is $50, $25 each, right? Or you might go and decide how much each person spent.
Right.
Yeah. So to go Dutch.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And then directly related with this, there's 3 different words that we can talk about. How you know how much to pay. Mm-hmm. We have the tab, the check, and the bill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the amount of money that you owe at the restaurant, right?
Yeah, and when you're ready to go at a restaurant, you usually have to ask the waiter, waitress, could I have the check, please?
Yeah,
Could we get the bill?
Can we get the bill? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sometimes they'll bring it without asking, and that's normal in the U.S. They're not trying to rush you out.
Right. You can take your time. Even if you have the check, you can still hang out at the table and chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. So the next phrase is getting out.
Yes.
And Lindsay, you mentioned this. You were talking about a website where you meet up with people based on the activities you want to do. What was the name of that website?
Yeah, so this website was howaboutwe.com, and this really lets us get out, right? Get out of the house, and don't expect your date to come knocking on your door.
Yeah.
Or the person of your dreams is not going to show up at your home, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, so you can get out to do an activity like, oh, it's great that I'm getting out and running more, or I'm getting out and going out on a date, or whatever. Just getting out of your house.
Absolutely. And the last one was commitment.
Commitment. This is great because dates can vary in the amount of commitment. Like a first date might be a coffee or a tea date, right? Maybe it takes 45 minutes or an hour. That's a low time commitment.
Right. And then you also think about commitment in terms of how much money you're putting into the date.
Right.
So if you're going to go and invite someone to a fancy dinner, you're going to spend a lot of money, and that's a big time and money commitment for a first date if you're not sure if you really like the person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then another way we use the word commitment is talking about stages of a relationship. So if we go in order, from when you first meet someone, you might call them an acquaintance, and then you get to know them more, they become a friend, or in a romantic way, you might start with dating as a commitment, and then being in an exclusive relationship,
boyfriend, girlfriend, right, at that point, and then
engaged,
get engaged,
married,
sometimes
divorced.
Probably not.
Right. So yeah, different stages are different levels of commitment. And last, with commitment, you can use it as a reason why you can't go out on a date. So, for example, can you go out for a cup of coffee? What if you want to say no? What could you say?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I have a commitment that day.
Right. And, that's enough. You don't have to say any more. That's the perfect excuse. Sorry, I have a commitment.
You don't need to be specific. I mean, if you don't want to go out with them, you can say, I have a commitment.
Yeah,
yes.
Perfect. Love it. So let's give you a chance to repeat these phrases so you can get comfortable with them. So the first one was to go Dutch.
And the next one was, we had 3. So we have the tab, the check, or the bill.
Great. The third phrase was getting out.
And the last one was commitment.
You listeners know that we've created this awesome podcast for you, but that's not all. We've also created an ebook to help you get the most out of listening to every episode. And the best thing is it's free. It's free for you guys, our listeners. So to get the ebook for free, just come visit us at www.allearsenglish.com/free.
Thanks for listening to the All Ears English podcast. We're here to help you learn English, and you can help us by leaving a 5-star review on iTunes. See you next time.
Welcome to the All Ears English podcast. This is episode 15, Wisdom Wednesday.
Welcome to the All Ears English podcast, where you'll finally get real native English conversation. Now here are your hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Gabby Wallace, the language angel, coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts, USA.
In this episode, you'll find out how to stop wishing that you had an opportunity to practice with native English speakers and how to actually bring them to you.
In this episode, we have a great tip. I think it's pretty great. The car outside thinks it's pretty great too. So the tip is, to get more interaction with people on the street, or, just you're walking around, you want to interact with strangers, talk to new people, try wearing something totally different.
Something totally off the wall.
Could be like a bright color.
Could be a pair of goggles.
So I ride my bicycle a lot, and when I run errands like to the grocery store or to the drugstore, I often just keep my helmet on when I go inside because I'm just too lazy to lock it up with my bike or carry it. So it's more convenient to keep it on my head. But I'll often get comments from strangers, just in jest, like try to be funny, like, hey, great hat. And so it works. I mean, it really is an easy way to bring more interaction into your life.
Right, and that would be a great way to start up a conversation. This was a tip that I think I read on Benny Lewis's blog, and his blog is called fluentin3months.com. So he goes around the world and learns a new language every 3 months. And how does he learn? Well, he speaks with native speakers.
Right.
And how does he do that? He has to stand out a bit on the street. So sometimes he puts on a weird costume or wears a t-shirt that says something funny so people stop him. And guess what? That's a perfect opportunity to engage in just practicing English.
Yeah, so something visual. I know another example is my friend went to... he's from Texas, right? I think he went to a UT school, University of Texas. So he always wears this Longhorns t-shirt, which is it's the symbol of Texas. So people stop him all the time saying, hey, are you from Texas? Or did you go to University of Texas? So, if you wear something like a university name on your t-shirt or, popular symbol or something like Boston Red Sox, people might ask, hey, do you like the Red Sox?
Yeah.
It's a great conversation starter.
For sure. So give it a try, see what happens, and get going with the conversations.
Great tip.
Okay.
You listeners know that we've created this awesome podcast for you, but that's not all. We've also created an ebook to help you get the most out of listening to every episode. And the best thing is it's free. It's free for you guys, our listeners. So to get the ebook for free, just come visit us at www.allearsenglish.com/free.
Thanks for listening to the All Ears English podcast. We're here to help you learn English, and you can help us by leaving a 5-star review on iTunes. See you next time.
This is an All Ears English podcast, episode 16, Deep Thought Thursday.
Welcome to the All Ears English podcast, where you'll finally get real native English conversation. Now here are your hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Gabby Wallace, the language angel, coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts, USA. In today's episode, you're going to learn how to see results faster by staying present with your learning. We have a great tip quote. Today's quote is, your future is created by what you do today, not tomorrow. So this is an anonymous quote. I love this quote. Why did you pick this quote?
I just think it's so true, right? So you take care of today, and you live today in the present moment, and work hard today, and then tomorrow takes care of itself. That's another quote to a similar in a similar way. So yeah, do you do this, Gabby? Do you put this into practice?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one practical kind of tip that I can give about this quote is that every day I try to plan out my next day. So like maybe before I go to sleep tonight, I will write down a few things that I want to do tomorrow. So yes, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do tomorrow, but I'm taking some action today to remind myself or give myself a base for doing those things tomorrow, which I don't know if that perfectly fits with the quote, but I think taking some action today definitely gives you a good base for tomorrow.
Yeah, so then maybe because you have those things written out, you're able to be more present.
Exactly.
Tomorrow, for example.
Well, right. And also just blocking out specific amounts of time to do different tasks so that you can be fully present in them and not worrying about like, oh, I have so-and-so to do tomorrow. I have to, wash my clothes. I have to do the dishes or whatever.
Yeah.
Just give yourself like a good plan for the day.
Yeah, and learning English can be inherently enjoyable if we just remember that, just being in the moment. I mean, this is getting a little deep, right? But we don't know how much time we actually have, right? So why not just be present in each moment and like enjoy what you're doing? And that could be learning English, talking with someone from another country.
Yeah.
Or doing the dishes.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really great philosophy. And I know there's some resources out now, like books and maybe websites that help you to maintain your just being present in the moment. So one website that I like is tinybuddha.com. Do you know this one?
No, I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's just, it encourages you to stay in the moment and talks about, life issues that are applicable to everyone. So I recommend that site. I know a popular book is The Power of Now.
The Power of Now. Mm-hmm.
I actually need to read that. So that's on my reading list. Do you have any other resources that you like?
Yeah. So one particular blog that I know is popular is Zen Habits. Is that right? Zen Habits by Leo Babauta. He's a big blogger. A lot of people like his stuff, talking about how to do little experiments and how to become more present in everyday life. So zenhabits.com. I think that's the right quote. So there's a lot out there.
That's great. Yeah, and we'll share these resources with you on our website for this episode's blog post. So you can find our website at www.allearsenglish.com. So here's to staying in the present.
All right, great. Thank you. Okay, guys, so I guess you're probably wondering what you're going to do with this podcast and how it's going to help you learn English. Well, there's a right way to use a podcast to learn English, and there's a wrong way to use a podcast to learn English, and we don't want you to use the wrong way. So we're offering a free guide, top 10 tips to use this podcast, or other podcasts to become closer to to understand English more like a native speaker and to be able to communicate with native speakers. So go to our website, www.allearsenglish.com/free, and get your free guide. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the All Ears English podcast. We're here to help you learn English, and you can help us by leaving a 5-star review on iTunes. See you next time.
This is an All Ears English podcast, episode 17, How to Get a Bargain on Black Friday.
Welcome to the All Ears English podcast, where you'll finally get real native English conversation. Now here are your hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Gabby Wallace, the language angel, coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts, USA. In today's special bonus episode, we're going to talk about how to shop American style on Black Friday and share some tips for how you can get a bargain. So let's get your ears into English. Hey Lindsay, how's it going?
Hey Gabby, how are you today?
I'm doing great, thanks for asking.
Good.
So today is known as Black Friday.
Yes, it's a big day in the US.
It is a big day. It's the day after Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving is always on a Thursday.
Right.
Last Thursday in November. The date can change, but it's always the last Thursday. And then Black Friday is the day after.
Yes, and at that point, everyone is in a turkey coma.
Yeah, that's right.
What's a turkey coma?
Turkey has that chemical in it, tryptophan. Yeah. Just makes you tired. And not only that, but people tend to eat too much on Thanksgiving.
Oh my gosh.
And I know like a lot of my friends will go to Thanksgiving with their family and then with their friends, and they'll eat several times. So
we eat so much. It's crazy.
So then we have to shop it off on Black Friday.
Of course.
So yeah, have you ever gone shopping, done Black Friday? Have you ever gone out for bargains?
Yeah, I actually don't do Black Friday.
Yeah.
Actually, I hate shopping.
Oh no! I'm looking forward to Black Friday because I want to buy some new clothes and maybe some electronics, maybe even like some little gifts for people. Not anything too extravagant, but I would like to get out there and just like, I don't know, it's almost like a celebration in a weird way. It's like all these people trying to get deals, and I don't know, it's like a festival of shopping. I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, it is. It's fun because you get into the Christmas spirit, and it's kind of the sort of official start of the holiday season. I think of it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's when stores put up a lot of Christmas decorations, and that's when people really start shopping for Christmas gifts.
Definitely. So how good are the deals that you usually get on Black Friday? What are we talking about here in terms of discounts?
I mean, it can range depending on the store. Like, I know a lot of people like to go to outlets. Like here outside of Boston, we have the Rent Them outlets, which are really popular. And it's funny because it's like this crazy event where they open the stores at midnight. As soon as it's like 12:01 a.m.
Even at the outlets, they do that?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So people drive out there like right after Thanksgiving dinner, which is weird, but they go out that night because the traffic and the lines are so long.
Oh my God.
So they just stay up all night, and then when the doors open, there they are. They're the first ones in line, right?
It sounds like death to me.
It's intense. It's intense, yeah. But it's kind of like fun just doing that.
Cool. Have you done that yourself before?
No, I have friends who have gone, but I've always stayed home. I'll wait till the next day. I like my sleep.
For sure.
Beauty sleep. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of places you can go. You could go to outlets. You could go to shopping malls.
Yeah.
You can go online.
Yeah, and you'll probably also see people lining up outside of like the Apple store, I would imagine, or Best Buy, or any of these sort of electronics shops.
Well, I think the best strategy is to plan ahead by going online and looking up the best deals for your city, the stores that you might want to go to, the items that you might want to buy. And I mean, that's one way of shopping is going in person, but there's another way just shopping online. Like there's a lot of shopping deals online, you don't even have to go to the store. Right.
And isn't that usually called like Cyber Monday or something? Like don't they start the deals on the Monday following?
Right.
I think so, Black Friday. So that's when the deals usually come around. But I think that's a worldwide thing. I don't think that's just in the US.
Yeah. So it's a time when a lot of people get Christmas gifts, and that's one thing, I wanted to ask you about, like, I mean, Christmas gifts, like, who do you buy for?
Good question. Right. So I tend to just buy for, like, my immediate family, actually, and really close friends. Like, I don't just sort of, I don't know, it's a personal choice. But I feel like, I don't know. For me, it's more about spending time with people rather than just getting gifts, because sometimes for me it can just be sort of meaningless if I'm just spending money on people and just, I don't know. What about you? What do you do?
Same. I mean, for close friends, family, sometimes like for coworkers, just bringing like a little snack into work would be appropriate.
Yeah, snacks are a good way to go.
Yeah, I mean, for friends and family, you might get something that that person likes, or maybe like a sweater or hat, gloves, scarf. Like typical winter presents are always great.
Do you give gift certificates? What's your thought on gift certificates?
Oh, I think gift certificates are great, but they are kind of impersonal.
They're a little impersonal.
But then if you know that your best friend really wants a gift certificate,
Yeah.
then why not? I mean, that's great.
Right. And if you know exactly like what they would want a gift certificate for, then that could be personal, because then
Yeah.
you're saying, here, I know you love this store, I know you love this restaurant, this kind of food, and I want to give you money instead of assuming I know what you want exactly there.
Yeah.
So it can actually be good, I think.
So it can be a little awkward though, because you don't know if the other person is going to get you a present. You know what I
that's
mean?
awkward.
Like, I mean, with your family and your close friends, it's fine, you know. But if there's like more of an acquaintance or you know someone you work with, maybe you share an office or something.
Right.
It's kind of like, are you going to give me something? Should I
Yeah.
give you something? So it's kind of like that.
There's
I don't
always
know.
those like 2 weeks where you're tiptoeing around, a little bit concerned, like who's going to get you a gift and what are you going to have, and yeah, it's awkward.
Yeah, but I think, you know, it's nice just to err on the side of caution by, you know, getting a little something if you're worried about it.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, so this has been fun. Any other thoughts on Black Friday on how people can take advantage and
just make a strategy. Like, don't just go wandering around the mall, because it's pretty intense. There's a lot of people, a lot of crowds out there. So know what you want. Maybe make a list before you go.
Right. I mean, and I remember hearing on the news last year, 2 years ago, that people actually got trampled in Walmart. So be careful when you go into these big stores. Like, know where you're going and don't get lost in the crowd. And
Man. But have fun. Get some friends together and maybe go as, you know, like a fun shopping event.
yeah, if you can enjoy it, have a good time.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys next week when we talk about people are, you know, buying bikes, selling their cars.
Yeah.
So,
Why are Americans buying bikes and selling cars?
cool. Yeah. We'll see you on Monday.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, guys, so I guess you're probably wondering what you're going to do with this podcast and how it's going to help you learn English. Well, there's a right way to use a podcast to learn English, and there's a wrong way to use a podcast to learn English, and we don't want you to use the wrong way. So we're offering a free guide, top 10 tips to use a podcast, this podcast, or other podcasts to become closer to a native, to understand English more like a native speaker and to be able to communicate with native speakers. So go to our website, www.allearsenglish.com/free, and get your free guide. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the All Ears English podcast. We're here to help you learn English, and you can help us by leaving a 5-star review on iTunes. See you next time.
This is an All Ears English podcast, episode 18. Why are Americans buying bikes and selling their cars?
Welcome to the All Ears English podcast, where you'll finally get real native English conversation. Now here are your hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Gabby Wallace, the language angel, coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts, USA. In this episode, you'll learn about an alternative to hailing a cab in Boston and New York, and you'll learn about the fastest, funnest ways to get around the city.
All right, so hey Gabby, how's it going today?
Hey Lindsay, good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So today we're talking about transportation. So Gabby, how do you actually, so we both live in Boston, so how do you get around the city? How do you get around Boston?
I get around mainly by bicycle.
Interesting. And so why do you decide to not take the train or not drive? Like, what's that about?
Well, my bicycle is faster than taking the train, or actually faster than driving because there's a lot of traffic. And as far as taking the train, it doesn't always go exactly where I need to go. So riding a bicycle is more efficient.
Cool. And so I bet you save a lot of money. I mean,
I do. Yeah, I do. I do, absolutely. So I don't have to worry about tickets or parking, which can be a headache in the city.
Yeah, but what do you do in the winter? I mean, today, for example, it's so cold out. I was dying
really
just walking
cold
here.
Yeah. Well, when it's not too cold, I still ride my bicycle. If it's really cold or the weather is bad, I will take a taxi or maybe take the bus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not hire a limo, no.
Not hire a limo? Maybe. What about you? How do you get around?
I am always on the subway.
Okay.
Yeah, I buy the subway tickets because, I don't know, I just like it. I like walking from the station to my home, and I just like that I have a chance to kind of think through things.
Yeah.
I've been sort of lazy to buy a bike. Like, I've always wanted to have a bike, but I don't know. Sometimes I get lazy.
Well, now in the cities, they have those hubway bicycles.
Yeah.
Have you tried those?
I haven't tried that yet, but I've heard they're staying open for the winter, which is really cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, so this is a new thing that's getting started in Boston, New York. So have you tried it? Do you know how to use it?
I haven't tried it because I have two of my own bicycles, so I've never been in a situation where I have to try it, but I've seen a lot of people using them. They seem really popular, easy to use. And, it's like modeled off of some European cities, I think, like Amsterdam or...
That makes sense.
Yeah, because... I mean, in the U.S., we haven't been a very bike-friendly culture, I guess. But we're becoming more so because it's just more, I guess, environmentally friendly and fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that brings more tourism, too. I think, like, when people visit here from other cities, other countries, and you want to get around the city in a fun way, you know, it's nice to rent a bicycle.
It's a good way to do that. So if you're looking for that bike program, it's called Hubway. And it's available, like, here in Boston. If you're in Boston, you can find little, like, bike kiosks, right? In front of the public library, near the subway stations. But I think they also have it in New York, don't they?
They do. I was just in New York, and I saw the Bikes for Rent. It might have a different name in New York.
Right, probably has a different name, because Hub is a name for Boston.
For Boston,
the Hub.
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, awesome. Sounds like a good way to get around.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? It's good exercise, too. It makes you feel healthy. So
for sure.
Yeah, just be sure to wear your helmet. You know, there's traffic out there, so
maybe knee pads or elbow pads.
Yeah, whatever you need to get around. Yeah. I mean, I think that, like, in European cities, a lot of people grow up riding bikes, and, you know, when they're in their early 20s still, like, they do ride bicycles pretty often. And so most drivers are aware of what it means to ride a bicycle. I mean, I read a story about this recently in the news, but it's different in the U.S. because a lot of people start driving young. I mean, I started driving at 15. I got my permit to drive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know what it's like to ride a bicycle too, but sometimes there's divergence between drivers and bikers in terms of sharing the road, and so you just have to be considerate of one another.
Right, especially in the rural areas. So I grew up in sort of a rural part of New Hampshire, and I also started driving at 16. I did driver's ed when I was 15 and a half, and then on my 16th birthday, license, driving with your friends, you're out there cruising, as we call it, right? Yeah, for sure. So in the rural areas, like you never see people walking or biking.
Right.
You just don't. Everyone's got a car. 16-year-olds have cars. So that's something. But here in the city, I guess it's probably easier because more people are living this urban lifestyle.
Yeah. So it's easier to bike, you're saying?
I think so. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think so too. It's just the distance between where you live and where you want to go is not as far. Like if you live in Texas, you don't see bikers as much because the distance is just so much bigger.
Definitely.
So much farther.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Interesting. So maybe another episode we'll talk about this idea of driving at a young age.
Oh, yeah. It's an interesting point. Having a car at 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, we'll wrap it up for today, I guess.
Yeah, and we'll talk tomorrow. We'll do Teaching Tuesday, and we'll share some of these phrases. I mean, we'll explain the phrases that we used in this episode.
Yep, so come back and listen tomorrow.
All right, we'll
Thanks,
see you
guys.
then. Bye.
Okay, so Gabby, what do you think would be the best way for students to use the All Ears English podcast to actually move from the intermediate to the advanced level?
Yeah, a lot of people get stuck at the intermediate level. I know in my own language learning that listening and then reading the transcript of what I just listened to, like a radio program or a podcast, really helped me to push my language skills to the advanced level.
Absolutely. So in order to do that and to actually get more out of this All Ears English experience, where can our listeners go?
Well, you guys can get premium transcripts of all of our podcasts, word for word, what we're saying. If you go to allearsenglish.com/conversations.
And one more time, that's www.allearsenglish.com/conversations. Thanks for listening to the All Ears English podcast. We're here to help you learn English, and you can help us by leaving a 5-star review on iTunes. See you next time. Okay, guys, so I guess you're probably wondering what you're going to do with this podcast and how it's going to help you learn English. Well, there's a right way to use a podcast to learn English, and there's a wrong way to use a podcast to learn English, and we don't want you to use the wrong way. So we're offering a free guide, top 10 tips to use a podcast, this podcast, or other podcasts to become closer to to understand English more like a native speaker and to be able to communicate with native speakers. So go to our website, www.allearsenglish.com/free, and get your free guide. Thank you.